Good morning, sweet friends. This is Gina. Welcome to the Rebookery channel. Today is Thursday, June 21st, and I am going to list 4 journals in my Etsy shop tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time, Kansas City, Missouri, United States. I had a lot of journals. Like I've got a whole bunch of journals that are in different stages of being ready, and I was just gonna hold off and put them all in at the same time. But it's actually easier, and it's easier for me to manage and quicker if I just do them in small little batches. So I'm gonna do 4 tonight, and then I have several more that I'm going to do next week, and then I'll be doing more the week after that. So I'm going to be releasing journals quite a bit over the next few weeks. So if you don't get one this time, just wait a few days because I'll be listing some more in the next couple of days. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is I have a new design I've been working on for several months now. I've been working on some new designs for journals. I'm always trying to push my creativity and push myself to make something new and inventive. And I always like to have things that are kind of unique. And so I found some new designs that I really like, and I am so excited to share them with you because I will be offering them in these 4 that are going to go in my shop. A couple of them are the new design. I also have my windows open, so if you see the curtains blow, it's just because the wind is blowing. I might have to shut the windows. Okay. So the first one that will be in my shop is a Homebodies. I haven't done a Homebodies for a while. I actually have 2 Homebodies that are ready to go. This one will be the one I'm going to list this week, and then I'll have another one that I'll list next week. So this Homebodies is pretty large. It's got a 3, I think it's a 3-inch spine. Let me just check here. It is, yep, a 3-inch spine, 5 signatures. This is an old sewing card that I've kind of put some pop adhesive on so it kind of sits up a little bit, and then I just did some free motion stitching on the card behind it. And in this Homebodies, there are, I don't know, I'm gonna have to check how many pages. I can't remember how many I put in each signature, but anyway, there's an eclectic mix of pages, fabric pages and paper pages. Let me just make sure I'm in frame here. Okay, so I used lots of napkins from my stash from my great Aunt Vincy. I put in some needlework because this was a needlework book, so I put in some needlework pages, and then pockets back here, and I have not filled the pockets, so that's something that I need to do today. Some wallpaper, and this is kind of textured on this side, and then on the other side it's a nice matte finish. Ledger paper where I went through and I just stitched, I have a large collection of stamps, like postage stamps. So I have a big box of postage stamps, so I just stuck them next to my sewing machine, and as I was stitching, I just put those down the edge. It just kind of adds a little decorative touch. Then some nice card that was, this is actually, you would buy this as like a tutorial on needlework. Pocket that's made of fabric with some vellum on the front, and then a pattern on the back. Some cardstock, some free motion stitching, lots of fabric trim, and then you're back to the end of the first signature. So for the second signature, this is some remnants that I had from a fabric sample book, and so I had made these pockets. This is a nice thick upholstery fabric, and they're kind of like these little pockets. Like I said, I haven't put anything in them, but I've stitched some different trim and some old sweaters and stuff on here. So that makes kind of a nice textural pocket. Wallpaper again. Book pages. This is a nice thick one. This is cardstock where I've put vellum on the back and some cutouts so it can be a pocket. This is some Aida cloth that you can do your own stitching. So you can stitch buttons on here, you can do some needlework. I'll include some yarns so that if you wanted to try your hand at doing some stitching, this is a perfect place to do that. And with my Homebodies, I always want them to be a book that's very interactive, that you can actually practice whatever craft, aside from journaling and painting and all that stuff. I really want you to practice whatever craft the book is. So like this one is needlework, so I'd love for you to be able to have a space to practice your needlework. A cardstock that opens up with some free motion stitching, wallpaper again, ledger paper, and then the back side of that textural pocket, and I just did some collaging here. Then one of my great Aunt Vincie's doilies, and it's a big pocket. Wallpaper. Another of those thick card tutorial books. Some cardstock. And then the back side of the first page. And then this is, so some free motion stitching I did with some fabric on the back of a piece of ledger paper. And then I also included, these are these little bags that I found in an estate sale. So there will be a tag tucked in here, and then lots of space if you wanted to do some needlework on there. This is another vellum pocket. Oh, this one's opened up from the top. There we go. Some half-finished needlework that I found in an estate sale, and then I backed it with some cross-stitch fabric, and it makes just a little pocket. Some vintage sheets for my trim. And so then here is the other side of that, and you can like tuck stuff up in here. There's some lace down here. You can tuck something right here. Lots of different collage. And then the last signature is another napkin, and that's a big pocket. Another needlework tutorial page. Love this page. This came from a needlework book. Some feed sack scraps. An envelope. This is awesome page, and it's nice and thick. Wallpaper, and then the back page of the napkin. And the napkin will lay flat once I put the tags in that will go in, and they'll take the whole space, so it'll make this nice and rigid, so it won't be so floppy. And so then there you go. That is the Homebodies. So that will be in my shop tonight. So like I said, I'd been trying to come up with new designs. So I wanted to incorporate my love of vintage fabrics and thrifted fabrics. So I wanted to try my hand at a fabric journal. So this is a quilt remnant that was made completely from flour sacks, or feed sacks. And so what I did was I just cut a piece, and then I turned this into a tri-fold journal. And I love this design because it just kind of keeps everything together. And it's just, it feels so good in your hands. It feels just, it just kind of melds into your hands, and I don't know, it's just got an awesome feeling. And if you're a journaler, you know what I mean about that journal feeling good in your hands. I just put some doily remnants and a button, and then I just have some lace as the sash, and then there's a little safety pin with a little piece of my baby clothing. So in this, there is a doily pocket over here, or like a napkin pocket over here. And then on this side, there's a pocket, okay? And then this is the back. Sorry if you can hear the dogs barking. This is the back of where the signatures are. And so what I did to give this some strength, because it's pretty floppy, is I have some trim that is really starched. It's a really stiff trim, and so I just sewed that along here, and that gave, and I did it on the spine too, and that gave some substance to the journal so that it's still floppy, it's still squishy, it's still soft, but it also gives it a little bit of rigidity. There we go. Okay, so for this, kind of did the same thing. I used lots of wallpaper. This is a pocket that I made from some of my baby clothes. I think I did stick stuff in the pockets on this one. So I'll just kind of walk you through, make sure I'm in frame here. Just kind of walk you through and show you what I have. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 signatures also. So ledger paper, envelope, wallpaper pockets, cardstock, a little tuck spot here with some wallpaper, and then this was like a sticker book, and it's nice thick paper, and it was a garden sticker book, so I put this in the center, and then there's a little cutout. Lots of trim from my Aunt Vincie's hankies and napkins. Look at that wallpaper, isn't that gorgeous? And that's a pocket, some stationery, ledger paper, children's book pages, and then the second signature. And so it basically just follows the same. Each signature is kind of the same. And I just love, oh, this is some wallpaper border, so you'll get some decorative edging on that. I thought that was kind of cool. I just love the different textures that these pages, you know, you take the paper and the fabric, and I love how they go together, because journals, they don't have to be just all visual. Oh, this is a tuck spot that's a recipe page, and it actually tucks from the top. So journals don't have to just be visual. Journals can be very textural too, and that's what I wanted. That's what I was really looking for when I was looking for my new designs. I was wanting to see how could I pull in other dimensions. I felt like my journals were getting kind of flat, and so I wanted to figure out how could I pull in other dimensions. So oddly enough, my journals smell really good because all of my fabrics have been washed and have been sun-dried. If they're my vintage sheets, they go through a process that I do with washing them. And so I pick these journals up, and the first thing I do is I smell them. I know that's weird. I smell them, I touch them, and then I let my eyes, you know, wander through them. And that's what I was really wanting, was a journal that had lots of dimensions to it. And so this was one that I made as I was trying to go through that process. So this one is all fabric, and then it has paper and fabric pages. Okay, so that one will be in my shop. I love this one, and yes, it does smell good. And that fabric, the old quilt just feels so good when you touch it. Okay, so from here, I wasn't quite content. I was like, okay, I went from a completely hard book. This is the Homebodies, and this is a very hard book. It's a hardcover, hard spine. And then I went the complete opposite, and I did a squishy book, or a soft book where it has a soft spine and soft cover. And I was trying to figure out how can I match the two of them together. And this is what I came up with. I'm like, I'm so excited. Okay, so this is what I'm calling an inside-out journal. So an inside-out journal is where I'm going to use a quilt or some sort of fabric on the front. So for this one, I used an old quilt that I found, and it's got some really cool fabrics. It's not feed sacks. There are some feed sacks, but it's just old like upholstery fabrics. There's some thinner cotton fabrics, some plaids, some solids, some florals, and lots of quilt squares and quilting pieces. And so what I did was I took this and it became my cover. This is a vintage sheet, this is a doily, and then on the inside, because I've got the soft, now I want the hard. On the inside, what I did was I was able to incorporate my love of books, and in this particular one, little golden books. So what I did was I put the cover of the golden book on the inside, and now it becomes a pocket and you can tuck stuff in. So you get the rigidity of the cover, you still get the cute visual of the cover. I'm still able to use an old book, but you're getting this soft textural of the quilt. And when I figured out how to do this, I was ecstatic, because this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted to marry the two together. So there's the cover, and then I've just hand stitched it, and then on the back here is the back cover, and I've hand stitched it, so it's a pocket also. Then on this side, I just took a piece of vintage sheet and I created a pocket right here. So you'll get a soft pocket. So there's two hard pockets and then there will be a soft pocket. For this journal, I have 5 signatures, and it's just an eclectic mix. Make sure I'm in frame here. It's just an eclectic mix of different papers that I have and the storybook pages from this little golden book. So wallpaper, ledger paper, golden book paper, cardstock, some white drawing paper, some old storybook, and this is nice and thick, wallpaper pockets, lots of Aunt Vincie's napkins, and other remnants that are trim, some envelopes. This has a tuck spot right here, ledger paper. Calendar page. This one has an envelope in the center. There's Aunt Vincie's napkins again. And I'm just over the moon for this journal. I want, it's similar to the one I made for myself out of my baby clothes. And I kind of had the idea came to me as I did that first page in my journal when I used the cover of the little golden book because I had written my name on it. And so then that got me thinking about, okay, well, what if I hadn't taken it off of the cardboard? What if I had actually used the cardboard, the whole cover, and that would have given some substance to the journal? And so that's when my brain started thinking about being able to incorporate a book with the fabric. And I just couldn't figure out how I wanted it to all, you know, be arranged and how I wanted it to all play out. And then it just came to me. And so, yeah. So I am all over making these. I've got several in progress right now. So I will only have one listed in the shop tonight of my Inside Out journals, but I have several that are over in my production line that I'm working on, because I'm just, now that I've figured out how to do it, I'm just obsessed with it. And again, I used the wide starched trim here to give it some substance on this spine, and then I've got that same trim over here to give it some substance on this spine, and then it just folds up. And then this one has a vintage sheet, like it's a little lid or, you know, envelope type thing that can go around that to keep your stuff in. And then it just closes like this, and then it wraps around, and you just tuck the sheet in here. I love tucking the sheet in here because you don't have to worry with tying anything. And so what I did was the sheet was, or the quilt was kind of threadbare. There was a lot of spots where it was ripped, and so I just went in and I patched it up with some fabric and some vintage sheets and just little pieces of fabric that I had. So it's totally patchworked up, and you can see it's squishy. It has a lot of room to grow. You can add and add and add a lot to this journal because it's going to be able to grow with you. And it feels so good in your hands. So good. And yeah, it smells good. Okay, so that's my one and only inside out journal that I have right now. I will have more in the next coming weeks, and this one is the Raggedy Ann and Andy one. So from there, I thought, okay, this is perfect for using my larger books like my little golden books. But I have a whole bunch of these smaller golden books, like they're the Telltale books. And I wanted to incorporate those because sometimes we don't always want a big journal. Sometimes we want a smaller one. So what I did on this one was I used the same idea. I wanted to marry the same thing of the fabrics, the texture of the fabrics with the rigidity of the book, and then be able to incorporate the pages. So this is a smaller version. Let me see, this is like 6.5, almost 7. And we're gonna go about almost 7 this way. So this time it's not inside out. I put the cover on the front, and it's not a pocket or anything. I just stitched it all on there. So inside, so here's this cover right here. Inside I have a piece of trim that's going to give you a pocket here. You have a fabric pocket here with a piece of wallpaper, and then you have a fabric pocket here. Now the back cover I actually sewed to the outside of the journal. So it's almost like it's a book, but yet it's put together with fabric, because it would be, you know, here's your front cover, here's your back cover, but yet it's held together with fabric. And I am just, again, I am over the moon for these. I am in love with this design. I cannot quit making them. They're so they're so fun. So here's another cool thing. This background that I have for these little small journals, these are an old Montgomery Ward drapery. I found a set that had never been opened. I found a set this spring. They were pretty musty, so I had to do quite a bit of cleaning to them, and at one point my husband's like, you need to throw those away, and I was like, no, I think I can save them. So I ended up and I got them smelling good, I got them looking good, and so this became the backing for this journal, and I love that because this is an old 1970s drapery from Montgomery Ward's, and it just kind of adds a little more substance to this. The fabric, I just picked different types of fabrics. So this will be the only one I have in my shop tonight. However, I'm not kidding you, I have 9 more that I'm working on. And so what I did with the fabric was I just picked a fabric that coordinated with the cover, and it's all thrifted or it's all vintage. Some of them are sheets, some of them are curtains, some of them are just old fabric. So yeah. Okay. And then this, of course, is another vintage sheet that I just created as a tie. All right, so the flip through for this one, same thing. On these, I did include some scrapbook paper. I hadn't pulled out any scrapbook paper for a while, so I included some of my favorite scrapbook paper. This is some really high quality scrapbook paper. Book pages. And it'll be the book pages from whatever the cover is, but there's also some other storybook pages in here too. Trim from Aunt Vincie's hankies and napkins. Some ledger paper, stationery, wallpaper, little pockets. And this one, I don't think I said this, but this one has 5 signatures. Love that scrapbook paper. It's very pretty. This one is a wallpaper pocket, which I just haven't filled yet. Some stationery, envelopes. and just some unexpected stuff, like some little cards, little gift cards. That one is wedding, which this book may not be about a wedding, but you can always leave it there as the unexpected and random, which is what I would do. Or you can alter it, cover it up, paint over it. Love this wallpaper. So I think I showed you guys before the wallpaper. I tested it out to find out like what you could put on it, what you could do on the wallpaper. Watercolor did not work on obviously the front side, because the front side, most of these newer wallpapers, this is going to be vinyl coated. So, but I did get acrylic paint to work. All of my pens worked. Highlighter did not work. Sharpies, gel pens, crayons worked really well. Colored pencils, if they were better colored pencils, like a better quality. So, and I'll link the video below where I showed you guys how I tested these out. And my #1 adhesive on these wallpaper pages is I use a glue runner, like a tape runner. So like this one, or I use my Scotch all the time. You could do glue stick, but again, vinyl and water are not going to really mix very well, but you could try it and see what happens. So I will link that video below, because I do go through and show you that I tried a bunch of different art supplies and wanted to see how they would work on the front and the back of the wallpaper. Okay, so this is my little fabric storybook journals. And like I said, I only have one going in tonight, but I have several more that I will be listing next week and the week after. My goal is to list a few journals in my shop for the rest of the summer, just like every week, just list, 3 or 4. That's my goal. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I have this journal. I have my all fabric journal. I have my inside out journal. And I have a Homebodies, and I will be listing all 4 of these in my Etsy shop tonight, June 21st, Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time, Kansas City, Missouri, USA. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you are super excited about being creative today. I hope you're healthy. I hope you're happy, and have a great day. Bye.